Hello, I'm Gregory. Welcome to 1 in 20 D&D. This is the story of Balagosh and Johyme Foraac. Born of a cracked egg into a bronze dragonborn family, Balagosh's mother took great care in ensuring the birth of her child. Miraculously, he survived the injury, and like his egg, Balagosh was open to the world around him. His older sister, Johyme, attended their mother during the difficult birth, and after watching the struggle, an interest in the healing arts called to her. Furthermore, she took it upon herself to become Balagosh's protector, always keeping an eye on her brother, making sure he was safe and strong, even long after he was grown and capable of handling himself. Early on, the dragonborn boy began having visions, both ominous and portentous, that drove him to wander from his tribe, seeking solace. Being nomads, the clan understood the wanderlust. Frequently, Johyme would accompany Balagosh on his forays into the desert. For long periods, Balagosh would commune with nature and the spirits of the desert his family called home. Meanwhile, Johyme developed a passion for sledding the dunes of the desert, a pastime the siblings enjoyed together. These adventures into the wilds of the desert cemented their mutual love of adventure and their lifelong friendship. On one of these outings, deep into the desert, Balagosh and Johyme came across an ancient temple, the mysterious Zilara. Balagosh gained an instant affinity with the monks, and similarly, the priests that studied and resided there saw a bright star in Johyme. They welcomed the siblings, for in the belief of the monks and priests, only those that are meant to find Zilara. Balagosh hoped the monks might help him reveal the meaning of his visions, and Johyme felt the clerics could aid her with her own potential for healing, as well as damage dealing should she ever need to fight. The brother and sister sent word to their family and began training in earnest. Nomadic through birth and by nature, the young man spent a vast majority of what little free time he found in the cracks between his training still wandering the deserts. On these days, his sister immersed herself in her healing studies, and the teenagers, in their own ways, each deepened their self-reflection. Being separate from her brother for the first time since he was born, Johyme was given time to learn who she was as an individual. She had a storm within her that she struggled to harness, but she was trained every day by the priests in the temple. She became stronger and wiser as she continued her studies. Sometimes Johyme would venture into the desert with Balagosh, as she had learned to sail in the oasis deep in the desert, the first body of water either of them had seen. After a time, while Balagosh spent his free hours in solitude wandering the dunes, Johyme spent her free time building a sand sail, a specialized skiff meant to harness the wind and sail the dunes. Every time there was a desert storm, rather than running for shelter like the other monks and priests. The duo would laugh and whoop as they rode the dunes. Johyme would helm the small ship with a bright smile on her face as her brother breathed in the wind at the prow. In her heart, his sister longed for more. She ached to ride the storm and tame the wind. While Johyme worked on her sand sail, Balagosh began to cross paths with the roaming bands of orcs, which inspired him to study their language and barbaric ways. One day, while secretly observing the orcs, he witnessed a massacre. Balagosh was equally dumbstruck and awestruck by the ferocity and brutal efficiency of the raging band of greenskins. When they started killing children, his bones froze with images from his visions, and some internal survival instinct kicked in. He had overheard that this was just the first of what would be a great wave of raids on the outlying dragonborn nomad settlements, waterholes frequented by the beasts of the desert and the nomad tribes. Fear and his instinct drove him to run. Over the dunes and miles he ran without stopping until at last he found his family's tribe. Huffing and puffing, he delivered the word of the oncoming horde. Preparations to move and defend were ordered and spread to the other tribes. Their parents were thrilled to learn that both Balagosh and Johyme were on their way to finding their place in the world. They sent him on his way with assurances that all would be well, asking only that the two visit more frequently. After returning to the temple, Balagosh found new strength in the unlikely lesson he had learned from the orcs. The storm within him frequently erupted, causing brutal outbursts during his training sessions with the other monks. Johyme noticed the storm within her soul was also in her brother's own being. She had learned to harness and restrain it, but her brother let it fuel him and flow from him freely. Eventually, his intensity became burdensome and dangerous. The oldest and wisest of the priests decided that he should leave the temple and continue his practice as a pilgrim, wandering the oases in solitude. Perhaps that would quiet the raging storm inside his soul. Johyme knew in her heart that her brother would not cause harm to those who were good, and thus she left the temple with Balagosh to join him on his pilgrimage. So they journeyed. Together they fought the orcs of the desert when necessary. They explored ancient environments unspoiled by the sentient races. They pilfered ruins, begged for bread, and kept walking and running across the sands, mountains, and forests of the southern continent. After a time, they met a kindly elven clan. The elves had marveled at Johyme's mastery of the healing arts. They aided her in deepening her understanding, and also helped her hone her ability to sail teaching her to read the winds and rivers and the ever-changing flow of water and air. Both siblings learned new skills amongst the elf clan. It was here that Balagosh first found a modicum of peace. The elves taught him to carve, to work beauty from wood. They showed him a way to release the worries of the day and blend with the current of eternity through the use of his hands to create treasures. His first treasure was a wooden flute, perfectly tuned. The flute, which he carried on his journeys, was a constant companion, but far too frequently it stormed and raged like the thoughts and emotions driven by the visions that pushed him out into the world in the first place. So he continued to carve. He continued to walk. He continued to run in the hope of finding quiet, or if not, of preventing the doom he felt on the winds. And always, Johyme was at his side. Once again, they felt the call of adventure and returned to their pilgrimage. They found their way to the coast and took jobs. Johyme as a second mate and Balagosh as a rigger on a fine sailing vessel with a respectable crew. The young lady's passion for sailing, knack for reading the winds and waves, and sharp mind made her a quick study. And her healing abilities were often taken full advantage of on the dangerous seas. The young man's nimble feet and fearlessness in the face of a storm made him a strong rigger their shipmates soon came to trust and rely on. And so, the siblings have found a semblance of balance with one another through their fierce loyalty. Together, they can bring the deadliest of storms, traverse the most vicious seas, stand alongside one another in a raging battle, and brave the desert sandstorms. At night, Balagosh will frequently play beautiful music, while Johyme dances the night away with little care of what anyone thinks of her. They are each other's best friend and greatest ally. But what lies ahead for this pair in their next adventure? Well, thank you for listening to that tale. That is the introduction of the character I will be playing in an upcoming one-shot, and it's a 5e D&D game. And the character that one of the other players will be playing, Courtney, is going to play Johyme, and we decided when making our characters that they would be brother and sister. Of course, Bronze Dragonborn, brother and sister, and each in their own way facing the storm that rages inside. I'm really looking forward to this game. I cannot wait to play it. I've included the information for the artists that we are borrowing for our tokens for our game, and you can find the information for the track that's playing along with this video at the end of this video. Thank you for stopping by to check this out. I hope to see you at a table someday. And keep rolling.